Imagine someone hands you $1 million tomorrow. Like, just boom, drops it right in your lap.
Oh man, that's the dream, right?
Right. But according to historical data on, lottery winners and sudden windfalls, if you aren't already a millionaire in your mind, if you haven't, like, built the capacity for that kind of wealth, that money will practically evaporate.
Just completely disappear.
Yeah, you will lose it. And welcome, by the way, to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and today we're getting into something really mind-bending about personal growth.
Hey everyone, I'm thrilled to be here. We are digging into some seriously powerful stuff today.
We really are. So our mission today is to extract this, like, really comprehensive, actionable framework for massive personal growth. And our source material is a video by the channel Grind Buddy.
Yeah, the video is titled, If You Want to Be Wealthy and Happy.
Exactly. And the core promise of this material is that success isn't something you're supposed to chase. It's something you attract.
Which is, it's a complete paradigm shift, isn't it?
It totally is. Okay, let's unpack this.
Mhm.
Because before we can get into the actual tactical steps of how to grow, we have to, like, fundamentally shift how we view effort in the first place.
Right, like we're always told that success is this exhausting, breathless chase.
Sweating, scrambling, constantly reaching,
Yeah.
like running after a train that already left.
Exactly. But the central thesis here is this really striking piece of advice. You must learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
Work harder on yourself than your job. Wow.
Yeah, because the argument is that your income or, your level of success in general, it rarely exceeds your level of personal development.
Which runs completely counter to, like, our entire modern hustle culture.
Oh, 100%. We're taught to pour everything into the external stuff, the promotion, the specific project, the endless emails.
Right.
But this framework argues that those external results, they're just a lagging indicator of your internal development.
Which brings us back to that $1 million rule from the start. If your internal capacity hasn't grown to the level of that $1 million, gravity just takes over.
Yeah, the wealth just comes crashing right back down to wherever your personal development currently sits.
There's actually a quote in this material that, like, literally stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, which one?
It says, if you took all the money in the world, divided up equally among everybody, it would soon all be back in the same pockets.
Oof, that is a heavy thought.
Right. But it kind of forces you to realize that wealth isn't actually about the literal dollars and cents.
No, the money is just the byproduct. The actual wealth is the mindset, the emotional regulation, the decision-making framework of the person holding it.
Yeah. I actually like to think of personal development like a container.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Like, imagine you currently have a shot glass-sized mindset, right? And a shot glass-sized set of skills.
A tiny little shot glass.
Right. And then the universe suddenly tries to pour a gallon of wealth or even a gallon of complex happiness into your life.
You just literally cannot hold it.
Exactly. It just spills all over the sides and makes a massive mess of your life.
Wow. What's fascinating here is how that container analogy fundamentally rewires your daily motivation.
How so?
Well, when you focus on expanding the container on what you are becoming, the daily grind of your job isn't just this soul-sucking thing you do to pay bills anymore.
Right. It's not just a treadmill.
Exactly. It becomes a gymnasium for your own evolution. You start realizing that the person you're becoming is the actual asset, not the paycheck.
Because happiness is contained in what you become, not what you get.
Perfectly said.
So if you're listening to us right now and nodding along, the immediate question is, how?
Right. How do we actually do it?
Yeah, how do we initiate that growth? How do we expand that container from a shot glass to a jug?
Well, according to the source, step one is incredibly simple. Almost deceptively so.
It says you just have to find out how things work.
Right. And that starts with completely changing our relationship to our problems.
Yeah, there's this story the speaker tells about a mentor figure. He goes to this mentor and says, I don't have any money. Like, it's his ultimate insurmountable problem.
And the mentor just stops him cold.
Yep. He says, that's not a problem. The real problem is a lack of an idea on how to create wealth.
Which is such a massive reframe.
Wait, so if someone is completely broke, struggling to keep the lights on, telling them their problem is just a lack of an idea might sound a bit dismissive, right?
Yeah. It definitely stings at first glance. It sounds almost insulting.
Like, oh, just get a better idea, problem solved.
Right, right. But let's look at the alternative. If your core problem is a lack of money or a terrible economy, You're at the mercy of things you can't control.
You're just waiting for the government to change or luck to strike.
Exactly. You are essentially a victim of
And
circumstance.
completely powerless.
Powerless. But if you reframe the problem as a lack of an idea, well, that is entirely within your control.
Because you can go find an idea.
Exactly. It might be hard work to find it, but it reclaims your agency. It moves you from being a helpless victim to an active student of your own life.
So ideas are the true currency of change.
Yes. You can always go out and hunt down a new idea.
So you don't just cross your fingers and hope things get better. You intentionally study what you want.
If you want happiness, you study happiness.
If you want wealth, you study wealth. Don't just go through the day with your fingers crossed.
And a critical part of that study is what they call the journal rule.
Oh, I love this part. The advice is don't use your head as a filing cabinet.
Which is so true. We all think we'll remember a great idea, and then poof, it's gone by lunch.
Right. You have to physically write ideas down and then use repetition until the idea takes root and physically shows up in your bank account, your dress, your lifestyle.
The psychology behind that is solid too. Writing it down engages your brain to prioritize it.
So if ideas are the currency of change, we need to know where the mint is, right? Where do we gather these life-altering ideas?
The framework gives us 3 highly specific gathering methods: read, listen, and observe.
Let's start with reading. The formula given is to read 30 minutes a day of positive, challenging, or inspirational material.
Yep, just 30 minutes.
But, I mean, leaders or readers is like the biggest cliche in personal development. Why is this any different?
It is a total cliche. But let's talk about why people don't do it. Most people read passively, right?
Like reading a biography like it's a fiction movie.
Exactly. But the framework here treats reading as a surgical extraction. You aren't reading for fun facts, you're extracting a mental model you lack.
And the source points out that standard education gets standard results.
Right. If you want to go beyond standard, you need self-education. One book can literally save you 5 years of trial and error.
It's basically time travel.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of successful people have painstakingly written down exactly how they succeeded step by step, and people still don't read them.
It's wild when you think about it like that.
Okay, so that's reading. But books can't talk back to you. They can't answer nuanced questions. Which brings us to method 2. Listen.
Oh, this is such a good one.
This is probably my favorite piece of advice in the whole deep dive. The standout advice is that poor people should take rich people out to dinner.
Yes. The speaker says to spend like $50 or $100 on a 9-course meal.
Which was a lot of money back when this philosophy started.
It was. And you just let that successful person talk for 2 hours. Drop life-changing ideas right in your lap.
But okay, putting myself in the listener's shoes.
Yeah.
If I'm broke, the idea of dropping $100 on a lavish dinner for someone who can easily buy the restaurant.
It sounds insane.
Totally insane.
And that is exactly the tragic irony the source points out. The typical mindset is, that guy is rich, let him buy his own dinner, I'm lucky to get my own supper.
Right, why should I pay?
But that exact mindset is what keeps your container the size of a shot glass.
Oh, wow.
You aren't buying the mistake. You are investing in exclusive access to their mental filing cabinet. You're trading $100 for an idea that could multiply your income by 5.
It's an investment in blueprints for your container.
Exactly.
But, there's a catch with listening. People curate what they say. A mentor might tell you what sounds good rather than what they actually do.
Which is why the third gathering method is so vital. Observe.
Success leaves clues.
Actions don't lie. The framework urges you to be an unusual observer. Get around successful people and just watch them.
Watch how they walk, how they shake hands. And the example used here is hilarious. The speaker says, if a guy makes $10,000 a month, watch how he walks.
And even if it's a silly walk, copy it.
I haven't got the money yet, but I got the walk. It has to start somewhere.
It sounds ridiculous, but it's actually about embodied cognition. When you mirror someone's physiology, you start to adopt their physiological state.
You're trying on their reality. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. It's like treating everyday life like an open book test.
Yes.
The answers are literally hidden in plain sight, in the mundane habits of others, like the 10K walk.
But to see those answers, the source makes a crucial distinction: the difference between sight and insight.
Sight is just seeing with your eyes.
Right. You notice the guy walks fast, but insight is seeing with your mind. You realize he walks fast because he operates with a sense of urgency.
So how do we actually move from sight to insight?
It requires radical presence. The rule is, wherever you are, be there. If you're scrolling on your phone in line, you're missing the open book test.
You cannot gather ideas if you aren't present.
Okay.
So let's say you're present. You've got a journal full of brilliant ideas from reading, listening, observing. What next?
Because gathering ideas without executing them is dangerous, according to the source.
Right. Step 2 is go to work. Learning that only leads to knowledge makes you a fool.
But learning that leads to action makes you wealthy. And we should clarify, money is one of the least of all values here.
You could have a lot of money and still be very poor.
Exactly. True wealth is the action you take.
But taking action requires discipline. And the source says discipline starts small. You get excited about little disciplines to build the muscle for big life challenges.
Firing the clay in the kiln of small disciplines, to use your container analogy.
Right. And you have to have self-motivation. It's the only kind of motivation. Waiting for someone to turn you on is a terrible life plan.
Which leads perfectly into step 3, which is a caution. Don't try to beat the system.
Don't look for cheap answers, shade the rules, or cut corners.
Or you'll wind up with a cheap life. Do it right, even if it takes longer.
So what does this all mean? I mean, isn't our modern culture entirely built on life hacks, trying to beat the system?
Oh, totally. 5-minute abs, get-rich-quick schemes.
Right. But this source is basically telling us to reject the very concept of a shortcut.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, true mastery simply cannot be hacked.
Because the shortcut doesn't change the container.
Exactly. A hack might temporarily funnel a gallon of water into your shot glass, but the water will spill. Integrity to the process is the only thing that guarantees the result.
Because the process is what changes you.
Yes. You wind up with a cheap life because you haven't become a person of value.
You'll wind up with a cheap life. Man, that's a stark warning.
And there's one final warning at the end of this framework, a kind of psychological mirror.
The 5-year rule.
The 5-year rule. It asks you to look at your last 5 years, because your next 5 are going to be exactly the same.
Unless you choose to make a change tomorrow.
It strips away the delusion of someday. Someday doesn't exist.
If you're listening right now, you might be feeling that sting.
Yeah.
But the beauty is, you can choose to change tomorrow.
You can start expanding the container.
So let's recap this whole framework. Focus on personal growth to attract success, rather than pursuing it.
Right.
Recognize that problems are just a lack of ideas. Gather those ideas by reading 30 minutes a day, listening to successful people, and observing with insight.
And then forge those ideas into reality through immediate action and absolute integrity.
I want to commend you, the listener, right now. Just by tuning into this deep dive, you're already putting that self-education rule into practice.
You're doing the 30 minutes a day right now.
Exactly. You're building a garden so the butterflies come to you instead of chasing them with a net.
I love that visual.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. The source tells us to study success and reminds us that happiness is about what you become, not what you get.
Right.
Therefore, ask yourself, what kind of person is the pursuit of your current goals forcing you to become right now?
That's a powerful question.
Is that someone you actually want to be? Think about it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.